The first time I saw her, everything in me froze, not because she was beautiful in the way society framed beauty, but because something inside my chest twisted with a strange mix of shock and guilt. I had walked into the quiet outdoor cafe expecting to see a girl whose pictures looked nothing short of flawless. Instead, the girl who looked up at me had a burn scar stretching from the right side of her cheek down to her jawline, the skin textured and uneven, a visual story of pain I knew nothing about. For a moment, the bright midday sun behind her made her outline glow, almost cinematic, yet my brain rejected the difference between what I expected and what was real. I felt tricked. I felt deceived. And I felt ashamed for even thinking those things. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and seeing people for who they are, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Stories of Kindness. It truly helps us reach more hearts. Her name was Aria Malden, a soft-spoken 22-year-old artist with a calm presence that didn't match the uneasy pounding in my chest. I was Ryan Hale, 24, someone who spent far too long caring about how things looked on the surface, whether it was my clothes, my job, my car, or apparently, the people I went on dates with. My friend Milo had shown me her photos, insisting she was perfect for me, but those pictures conveniently hid the truth. When I confronted him later, he simply shrugged and said I needed to grow up and stop being so shallow. At that moment, sitting across from her as she stirred her iced latte, I wasn't sure if I was angry at him or at myself for realizing he might have been right. What struck me first wasn't the burn, it was her eyes. Hazel, bright, steady. They didn't flinch when she noticed my hesitation. If anything, she looked like someone who had prepared for reactions like mine. The world must have shown her enough of them already. What surprised me even more was that she smiled. A small, genuine, welcoming smile that made me want to shrink in my seat for being so judgmental. I tried to force myself to relax, but inside, my mind was a hurricane of questions. How did it happen? Why didn't she say something? Why did Milo set me up like this? Why did I even care this much about appearance? The cafe was quiet, bathed in warm daylight filtering through the leaves of tall trees surrounding the patio area. The soft whistle of the noon breeze carried the smell of freshly brewed coffee. Everything about the setting was peaceful, but inside my chest, everything was loud. Aria talked about her work, about the sketches she loved making, about how the cafe's owner let her sit and draw for hours without buying anything more than a small drink. I listened, but I wasn't really listening. I kept catching myself glancing at her scar, then looking away quickly, terrified she would catch me staring. Yet she seemed completely comfortable, her posture relaxed, her voice steady, her presence oddly grounding. It wasn't until she paused mid-sentence and asked, in a voice so calm it almost hurt, "Is appearance really that important to you?" that everything inside me broke open. Her question wasn't accusing, it was honest, almost gentle. She asked it the way someone asks if you need help holding a heavy bag. And somehow, her tone made all the shame in me amplify. I felt exposed, seen in a way I wasn't ready for. I stumbled for an answer, trying to explain that her appearance wasn't the issue, that it was the shock, the surprise, the sudden mismatch of expectations. But the words felt hollow. She just nodded, not in agreement, but with the expression of someone who had learned long ago that people would always have those reactions, even when they tried to hide them. At that moment, I knew I didn't want to be another person who hurt her, even unintentionally. She stood to leave early, saying she had an art session to attend, and I watched her walk away, sunlight catching the soft waves of her dark hair. I sat there long after she left, wondering why the ache in my chest felt heavier than before the date even started. Over the next few days, I found myself thinking of her more than I expected. Not in a forced or guilty way, but in a way that made me curious, about her, about what she'd been through, about why she was able to carry her pain with such grace while I couldn't even handle my own discomfort. Against my usual habits, I showed up at the cafe the next week around the same time, pretending it was a coincidence. When she arrived, sketchbook tucked under her arm, she looked surprised to see me, but not upset. She sat with me again, and this time, everything felt different. The second conversation was easier. I let myself actually listen. She talked about how she used art to escape and rebuild herself after the fire incident that caused her facial burns. I didn't ask for details, not then, not yet. She explained how the world sometimes made people with scars feel invisible or intimidating or unworthy, and how she had spent years learning to exist without apologizing for what happened to her. I found myself drawn not to her appearance, but to the strength she carried so naturally that I almost missed it. We met again. Then again. Eventually, meeting her became a part of my weeks, then part of my days. She wasn't just interesting, she was grounding, honest, thoughtful, and quietly brave. She saw the world differently, through layers of empathy that I had never even noticed existed. And without realizing when it happened, I started looking forward to every moment spent with her. Even her silence felt meaningful. But not everything about this new connection was easy. My internal conflict lingered. I hated that part of me still reacted to her scars sometimes, not negatively, but instinctively, with a tiny jolt of awareness that I wished I could erase. It made me feel shallow, guilty, unworthy of her trust. I started avoiding mirrors, started questioning my own character, started reflecting on how many people I had dismissed in life because they didn't fit some imaginary standard.